Michael Bisping didn't just say Ilia Topuria was a good boxer, he said his boxing looks Olympic level. Seriously, in a recent breakdown, Bisping compared Topuria's hands to something you'd see from an Olympic coach's best student. At first you might think, okay Bisping, that's too much, but when you actually watch Ilia fight, it all makes sense. The guy's timing, accuracy and shot choices are just next level. Sure, MMA and Olympic boxing are different sports with different rules, but the technical skill? It's there. Bisping even predicted that Topuria would beat Charles Oliveira at UFC 317, and after that, he believes Ilia will waste no time calling out either Islam Makhachev for a legendary showdown, or maybe even Paddy Pimblett for a fight that would break the internet. What do you think? Is El Matador going past Oliveira?
Get rocked, he doesn't take damage, he's very composed, he's very calculated, measured, right? The man just doesn't take chances, okay? He fights exactly like an Olympic level boxing coach would want him to fight. What I mean by that is that the hands are high, the chin is tucked, his body is in form, he's never off balance, he's using a lot of feints, the head's always moving, he's setting things up, he's thinking with his mind, and he's not taking chances. He doesn't just walk forward and swing like a maniac, loading up with every single shot that he throws. No, as I said, everything is textbook. There's movement, there's little twitches, there's little feints. He's constantly thinking, he's constantly analysing his opponent and setting things up. And then when he throws, he commits. He throws in combinations. 1 to set it up, 2 does the job, 3 is the knockout shot. Mixes it up to the body, goes high, goes low, constantly moving, overloading his opponent's mind with a lot of distraction.
And now, let's talk about Jose Aldo. He just revealed something crazy in an interview with MMA Holloway. He hasn't trained wrestling in 5 years. That's right, before he fought Merab Dvalishvili, Aldo was already 2 years removed from any wrestling practice. And guess what? He still blocked every single takedown Merab tried. That's not just good, it's elite. Aldo said he did it all on muscle memory and instinct. Most fighters need non-stop drilling to stop someone like Merab. Not Aldo. He said, bro, I haven't done any wrestling in 5 years, and he still dominated in that area. People keep comparing him to American wrestlers, but he said, I'm just a jiu-jitsu guy who became a striker. He even talked about his recent fight with Mario Batista. He lost, not because of damage or being dominated, but because he chose to stay against the cage. He admitted he could have escaped, he had the skill, but he stayed because he knew Batista couldn't take him down. Still, Aldo called it one of the worst fights of his career. This and the one against Volkanovski. Now let's get into the drama. Khamzat Chimaev, known for his wild training intensity, might have taken things too far this time. According to new reports, he got into a full-on street fight with one of his teammates in Dubai. And it all started with a regular sparring session. His coach in the UAE, Morad Bachiev, said it started off normal. Khamzat was sparring with a Dagestani Thai boxer named Ali. But things quickly got out of hand. The energy changed, emotions ran high, the sparring got harder and harder until it turned into a real fight. And it didn't end inside the gym. Nope. The fight spilled outside. They were going at it in public with bystanders watching. Total chaos. Morad said, yeah, I've seen the full video. It started technical, but then things escalated. It became serious, and later it continued outside the gym. He added, if nobody's talking about it, I won't say much either, but we saw the camera footage, and yeah, it was interesting. Let's leave it at that. Now, this isn't the first time Khamzat's training methods have raised eyebrows, but this time it feels different. His own team is talking, the footage is reportedly being passed around, and fans online are not happy. They're saying this kind of gym culture where sparring turns into a street fight is dangerous. It's not about toughness anymore. It's about discipline, or the lack of it. And if you're brawling with your own teammates outside the gym, maybe something's really wrong. Is it just Khamzat's all or nothing mindset? Or is he truly losing control? Either way, it's just another wild chapter in the unpredictable, intense story of Khamzat Chimaev. Meanwhile, over in the lightweight division, Justin Gaethje is done being the UFC's go-to-action guy without proper rewards. In an interview with the Makeshift Project, Gaethje shared that the UFC literally came to his house begging him to take the Max Holloway fight at UFC 300, and he did it. He stepped up, put on a violent, unforgettable show, and now he wants what he's earned. A title shot. Gaethje said he's always been there for the UFC, he always said yes, he always brought the fireworks, but now it's time for the UFC to return the favor. He even said that Islam Makhachev was interested in fighting him before the UFC decided to go another direction. Gaethje feels that instead of giving him that fight, they chose Charles Oliveira and Ilia Topuria to compete for the belt. And yes, while Justin has a good case, this title picture is messy. Ilia Topuria is still undefeated and just cleaned out the featherweight division before moving up. That's huge. And then there's Charles Oliveira, a former champ who already finished Justin in their last fight, so it's hard to ignore that history. It's fair to say Charles deserves another shot. But it's also fair to say Gaethje's been through wars and deserves one too. This whole situation is boiling over.
I looked up online that you reportedly have at least 2 fights left on your contract. Do you have 2 fights, or you can't say, or you don't know?
I don't even know.
You don't know. But we're fighting again.
I don't plan on ever fighting anywhere else, so.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I'm also not going to fight for fun anymore.
Yeah, that makes sense.
They owe me a championship fight. I'm 3-1. Last 4. They came to my house, begged me to fight Max Holloway on UFC 300. And what I consider it an exhibition fight. I don't mean that the loss is not on my record. I mean it had nothing to do with the rankings of my, in the time that I did that, Dustin Poirier, who I just beat, got a good win over Saint Denis and then fought for the belt.
Yeah.
And then since I won, the champion's been saying he wants to fight me. And so they could have easily set that up, but they didn't. Then he vacates, and then Oliveira's 2-2 in his last fight. Already has a loss to Makhachev, and they bring a brand new guy in, and I get again. So I'm not going to fight any of these for fun unless.
And finally, back to Khamzat. This recent fight with his teammate is raising serious concerns. This wasn't just intense sparring, it was personal, public, and potentially dangerous. Fighters are supposed to test each other, push each other, but when punches start flying outside the gym, when your own coach is calling it interesting in a cryptic way, that's a red flag. Fans are divided. Some say Khamzat's intensity is what makes him special. Others say this is too far. Fighting is your job, not your whole personality. You don't fight your friends. You don't lose control in training. But with Khamzat, maybe that's just who he is. All gas, no brakes. All heart, no filter. What's next? Will the UFC step in? Will his team hold him accountable? Or will this all get swept under the rug? No one knows. But one thing's for sure. When Khamzat Chimaev is involved, things are never boring.